Good afternoon. Welcome to the rule of thumb theory. Hopefully, you had a good week, and hopefully, this is a rule of thumb that will take you through some new heights and some new ideas. The mindset behind this is because we've heard words like pivoting and change and challenges. What about looking just at the basics, the fundamentals? And the beauty about the fundamentals is there's fun at the beginning of it. So my goal is to have some fun, give you some facts, and then hopefully have you finish a little smarter, as I try to do each week we're together, and appreciate your joining us. So my goal is very simple, to have you look at seriously the fundamental, rethinking, and radical redesign of your common business practices. So you can make what I call dramatic improvements, not just doing something a little better, but dramatic improvements in 10 key components of a life business plan immediately. And hopefully, as you see these 10 components, you'll already feel, oh, I've been doing that. Oh, yeah, I've got that on my list. Yeah, I've incorporated that. But now the question is, are you doing it? Are you continually doing it? Are you consistent and persistent and resilient, which is with us last week, that's our CPR. So we're taking the CPR to the next level. Now that we gave you CPR, are we able to make you well? With that perspective, that's where we're going. With that said, my mentor, my motivational mentor, my coach, the person who taught me how to be a professional speaker and shared so many powerful things with me back and forth. If people like you and they listen to you, they will trust you. The National Association of Realtors consistently says, other things being equal, 80% of the people who want to work with real estate agents say they work with them because they like them and trust them. It's consistent. So it's easy to be liked. It's more difficult to be trusted. So with that said, as a background, I'm trusting that you will take these 10 components and incorporate them into some of the other things we've talked about, or a business plan or idea from your company or from your own readings. Let's put them all up at one time, and we'll talk about them in small groups. The numbers, the strategies, the tactics, the what by when, i.e. the goals, the accountability. And you may need someone in your life, if you don't have them already, that you will be accountable to. You could call them a slump buddy during bad times. You could tell them a power buddy in good times. But you need to be accountable. That's why I have a coaching program. That's why I mentor agents. The doability. I mean, is what you said practical, attainable, and reasonable? i.e., are you shooting par, P-A-R? Golf courses set up par for each course. They're practical, they're attainable, they're reasonable. If you watch professional golfers, they go way beyond par. They're shooting 10, 15, 20, sometimes 30 under par. Are you, as a real estate professional, doing more than just par? So you can be like those top golfers as a top agent and really excel. The dedication. Dedication is just one part of what, in Wayne's world, I feel are the 4 Ds of toughness. Dedication, discipline, desire, and determination. We could spend an hour just on those 4. But dedication is a key component to a business plan. Can you keep on doing it? Can you kickstart it if it needs some help? Can you sit down and revise it because there was a roadblock? If you're in a town or area where there's construction season, sometimes the way you want to go someplace, you can't get there because the road is closed for a day or 2 or 3. And then the expensive benefit. Are you clear that sometimes this takes an investment in money and in time? And your money target is one thing, your time target is another thing. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. And then, most importantly, a goal should be specific. We know that. Should be obtainable, but it must be written down. Make it a vision board, see it every day, put it on your keychain. I don't know what you do, but your goals should be written down. And most importantly, as you make some radical changes and relook at your business plan, are you doing it because it's something you want versus something somebody wants for you? See, the key to an effective goal after it's written down is something you want, not something somebody wants for you. I would love to see you change in a dramatic way to make some of these radical redesigns of your business. But if you don't want to do that and you're in your comfort zone, as it's called, or as I say, you're not inspirationally dissatisfied, you will not move up to the next level. Until you are inspirationally dissatisfied, you will not move up to the next level in your business plan. And then obviously the key to a good plan is a consistent, constant, and creative review, because things change. So with that said, let's take a look at a few of those in much more detail, i.e. the numbers. Well, that's an easy one. We got all kinds of spreadsheets and Excel programs and forms from companies that have you do your numbers. But it boils down to a very simple concept. You got to sit down and decide how many contacts you need to make to get an appointment. And you got to track that. At the beginning, you might have to make 50 contacts to get one appointment, maybe 100 contacts. But as you consistently go through your plan and rethink yourself, are you making the right kind of contacts, or are you just casually doing something and you're just doing a lot of activity and no accomplishment? See, in the contact world, there are better contacts. I spent an entire day yesterday at one of my listings that's being used as a backdrop for a who's who in real estate in the Chicagoland area. I was there because there were top agents there using that as a backdrop, and I could talk with them not only about that listing, about my seminars, about some new listings coming up. I learned about their listings. We developed a relationship. That was a very powerful accomplishment for me, not just an activity. So are your activities nothing more than time wasters, or are they accomplishing something? I've said this several times. The most important thing any agent can do on a consistent, regular basis is get face-to-face, belly-to-belly, nose-to-nose with somebody who can sign something. Everything else doesn't have nearly the impact unless you get paid a commission on the sales you almost made. Ha, ha, ha. That's not happening. So the numbers. So what's my ratio of appointments to contacts? And then how can I consistently change that? Do I close better? Do I know how to close better? Do I have several different closes? I made a comment in one of our previous sessions that J. Douglas Edwards was the first person that taught me to close no more than 3 times and close no less than 3 times, which means I close 3 times without pushing people beyond repair. Yet he suggested in his research that master salespeople, people making huge incomes, were closing on the average on their 7th closing attempt. All I'm saying is, in real estate, I feel after 3, you're going to push people beyond repair, whether it's in your buyer counseling session or your seller counseling session. Once you have the appointments, then how are you converting them into leads? And there's 2 kinds of leads. There's buyer leads, there's seller leads. Now, once you can figure out how many contacts to get how many appointments to get how many bona fide leads, i.e. saleable sellers and bona fide buyers. And we could spend a future session just talking about saleable sellers and their characteristics and bona fide buyers and their characteristics. I learned mine as a comparison flow chart. I learned mine as a saleability checklist, as a buyer counseling checklist, ways to see if indeed these people are people I want to deal with. Because in this business, You don't need them all. You don't want them all, and you ain't going to get them all. You find, attract, and keep enough people that were contacts to turn into clients who eventually buy with you or sell with you. Those are numbers. So your sales are the result of converting those leads into signed buyer agreements and signed exclusive seller agreements. Those are the numbers. So if we think about that, the first letter of each of those key words was calls, C, A, appointments, L, leads by buyers, L, leads by sellers, and sales. If you circled the first letter, guess what you wrote down? Calls. The numbers you have are directly related to the calls you make. I don't care how you call. Pick up the phone, go online, knock on doors, meet people at coffee shops, shop slowly in the grocery store and hand out business cards in each aisle. I don't really care. That's another whole gobbledygook of stuff you can do. There's loads of myriads of ways that you feel more comfortable. Maybe it's just casually meeting people in events. Who knows? But you got to make the calls. The numbers are directly related to the calls you make. You got to quantify your ultimate target and reduce it to daily numbers. How many contacts will you make Saturday? How many contacts will you make Sunday? And could you have made one more? One more. What's the feeling? What's the feeling when you walk out of a home with a signed listing agreement? You're high. You may have the sign in the yard already. You may have an open house scheduled, but you're on a roll. Boy, why waste that time, that good feeling, and go back into the office or go home? Why not go to another place? Maybe knock on a FSBO's door. They can't slap you around. You just got a listing. Maybe go into a restaurant and sit down and have some coffee or a drink and have your real estate sign there. And a new listing. And so, what's that? Oh, I just got a new listing. Oh, you did? Where at? See, I think we take all that energy, all that excitement, all that good feeling, I just got one, and we let it die a slow death. Use it. Enjoy it. Love it. You did your job. But you got to know how much it takes on a daily basis to get the results you choose. Now, as you get better and better and better, maybe you only need to make 20 contacts to get one appointment. And maybe only takes 3 appointments to get one good lead. So I know if I want 3 buyers or 3 sellers or a combination, and I can get my ratio down from 50 contacts to 30 contracts, and every 30 gives me 1 lead, that means if I meet 90 people this week consistently, I should have 3 appointments to get 1 listing. That's my number. You got to know your numbers, and then you got to take the next step. How are you going to get there? And it's simply a numbers game. You can work backwards. We could take that calls word I just put up and you wrote down and look at how much you want in sales this year to meet your financial goal. Then go backwards and see how many leads from buyers or sellers do you want? Do you want an 80-20 ratio? Do you want a 90-10 ratio, 50-50 ratio? Are you more buyer-oriented or more seller-oriented? But what are your numbers? Then what's your average sale? Now we know that's going to need that many leads. So once I know how many leads I have to get the appointments I need to make the numbers I want, I got to make appointments. And once I know how many contacts I need to make an appointment, I've got my strategy. I've got my strategy. X number of contacts, create X number of appointments. X number of appointments, create X number of leads, both buyer and seller, and those turn into sales. Calls. It's CALLS. Which brings us to the next point, the tactics. What works best for you? Are you doing TikTok? Are you doing a podcast? Are you still sending out a newsletter? Are you dropping something off at a home? Do you have advertising specialties you hand out all over? Do you have a sign on your car or your vehicle that shows you're in real estate? How many cards do you hand out a day? Do you wear any kind of clothing that shows you're a real estate agent? Does your license plate have any indication you're in real estate? What's the tactic that you've been using, and what do you need in the way of time, materials, support, and resources. Now look at that. Obviously, you only have 168 hours in a week. There's 86,400 seconds in a day. When we started this, 43,300 seconds were gone. And we're going to use up a bunch of them in the next hour. But you still have a lot amount of time to do something on a Friday. And then do you have the proper materials? And do you bring with you some type of strong support, data, information, things that would be important for that potential lead to turn into a sale in terms of activity, in terms of inventory? Maybe it's something like absorption rate pricing as you take a listing and price it properly. And by the way, I use that word maybe for the first time on one of my Friday World of Wealth seminars. You really, if you are not using or knowing how to use absorption rate pricing as part of your packaging, send me an email, wayne@waynepaprocki.com, the Wealth Whisperer. Be glad to send you one that I suggest and use in my training, but I'm sure there's one someplace in your office or somebody has one. You can go online and find one from your company. It's a very powerful tool, along with much of the MLS data that's out there to help you bring those numbers together. But those are the key components: the time, the material, the support, and the resources. And again, what is your process, scheme, whatever you want to call it, for getting those things done? Now, so far, we realize this is a numbers game. We're putting numbers together, then we're taking strategies once we have those numbers, and then we now put some tactics up. Powerful, powerful. Next one says the what by when. What the heck does that mean? Well, it simply means setting up these key points, checkpoints, checklists. I should be here by then. It's kind of like you're traveling someplace on a weekend. I should be at this point by 12 o'clock, by that point at 2 o'clock, so I'll miss the traffic, or I'll be there by 6 o'clock. You must agree to touch base regularly with people who are genuinely caring about you hitting your target, i.e., that person you need to be accountable to. Could be a weekly report. I have 26 coaching students in Wayne's World of Wealth Building, agents that you may have heard of or know. Every week on Sunday evening by midnight, I must get a plan for next week, a weekly plan, faxed, or in most cases now emailed. So if it shows up at 12:01, it's late. And we have an agreement. If everybody's is not in by midnight on Sunday showing me next week's plan, then very simply, they have to donate $100 into a pot that we donate to a charity at the end of the year. Let's be accountable. Let's be accountable. And so you want these checkpoints, and maybe you do them every week, maybe you do them once a month. They don't have to be with somebody in your company. They could be an agent outside of your company. They could be anybody that you feel will help you understand that you are or not on track. The what by when. And that's what triggers the accountability. Who are you going to be answering to besides yourself? That's why coaching, mentoring, sometimes good designated managing brokers are a great person to do. Maybe you form a small group and you all meet and are accountable to each other in a breakfast meeting every week or every couple of weeks. But you must agree to touch base regularly. Who have you been regularly sharing your action plan with for the week or for the month and your goals? Because we want to see if you're getting close to and or hitting your target. And again, as I said, this could be even a family member. There's a lot to be said about your family, your best friends getting involved in your success. Could be a partner. Somebody needs to be there. It goes back to just your personal life plan. Everybody in their personal life needs a confidential relationship with someone. Somebody they can tell anything to about what's going on in their life, and they know that person won't tell. Could be your best friend, could be a sibling, could be a parent. Some of these people, you have this relationship, do it for free. If you can't find for free a person to be accountable to, not just in real estate, but your whole life, then you've got to go find a paid friend. A paid friend. Like in the real world, psychiatrists are paid friends, aren't they? You get to go talk to them and tell them things that they won't tell to anybody else. So your accountability goes well beyond real estate, but just this few sections that I share here, touching base regularly to see how your plan is coming across and where you're at, and if you're getting close to hitting your target. So above all, think about that. Now that's 5 of them already. There's 5 different things that need to be a part of a surefire business plan in the process. Let's leave those alone for a moment. Let's go on and look at something. This whole thing centers around being a consultative or collaborative real estate agent. The day of the compliant or competitive agent is really gone. We are not a competitive group of people. I preach win-win in all my negotiation seminars. I think anybody who attended a negotiation seminar someplace must have heard the mindset, the power of a win-win philosophy. The power of win-win, POWWER. The power of win-win equals results. Too many deals fall apart because people aren't consultative and aren't collaborative. There's loads of materials out there that allows you, as you build this radical rethinking and redesign of your business plan, to bring in more consultative strategies, more collaborative pieces to how you present, how you negotiate, how you control your business. With that said, we also see in the real world, sorry about that, got there too fast.